software as a service space is obviously been booming, and especially online players.
Right.
And I mean, there have been various reports also of how this is going to become a game changer for Indian IT services. Obviously, we have the traditional IT services companies, and they are looking at virtually similar markets, which you also look at abroad. So, what are the challenges that you face as a for the industry and for companies like you in this space?
We're probably selling obviously to the same customers, like, a Wipro or a Cognizant or an Infosys will sell to Daimler, and we will also sell to Daimler, for example, or Airbus, or, any of these manufacturing companies, healthcare companies, pharma companies. But I think our challenges are very different. And the reason I say it is because, we go in a very interesting position now. CLM is a very established category. Gartner, Forrester, all the analysts have given it a magic quadrant and a wave and everything else. So it's a category on its own. And that means that the challenges that we face are actually very different. I think the first difference comes in where the value proposition is already there. The challenge is, hey, will I be able to afford it? How long will it take? And will I fail at it? Which in the case of IT services companies never comes up, right? Usually. Three of the top five companies in the world are our customers. So if you look at it from a size perspective, and this is not a small deal, right? They actually roll this out enterprise wide, which means this is multi-million dollar deals. So now the challenges become very different because these challenges are really, hey, can you get me value out of contract intelligence?
How do you get over these challenges from the clients when they say, okay, I mean, it's expensive, should I have it?
ERP, these are the same questions. Hey, am I going to afford this? Am I going to get value? And how long am I going to take? Exactly the same questions. And we address it in the same way. We say, hey, first of all, you don't have an option. Okay. Second of all, look at look at the look at the world around you. Look at the Gartner, Forrester, etc. Do you see anyone near Icertis in the enterprise space? And no, there is a lot of white space there. So you don't have a lot of options right now. You will get some options maybe 2 years down the line. I'm sure competition will catch up, and there'll be new companies that come in. But today there is no option. And the third is, the whole idea of cloud native software and built in the cloud is that it can be flexible, it can be fast, and it can be cheaper to implement than most other systems like SAP were traditionally. Now SAP is also moved to HANA, which is the cloud solution, right? And that is why the world obviously has moved to the cloud. And these are the big factors there, apart from the capex.
What is the market size for this? I mean, if you look at globally, and I mean, what kind of pole position do you have in this? And is it that none of the bigger players in the IT space are conspicuous by their absence, or are they also looking at this area and they will come in somewhere?
It's very interesting if you reverse back into time, when we started about 8 years ago um, on the contract management journey to the enterprise, we had three competitors. We had IBM. IBM had MTORIS. We had SAP contracts. SAP had an acquisition with CLM, and we had Oracle contracts. Oracle had an acquisition. They had acquired a CLM company. Every RFQ at least had one of these, usually all three, right? And because we had our platform ready and we knew what to do, I don't think we ever lost a deal, any RFP against any of these. All these three competitors vanished pretty much for us. They will come back because the opportunity is so big that it's very hard to ignore. Now they'll come back, and with a large company, you have acquisitions or you have build, and build is going to take too long for them to really fight us, right, or to compete with us. So now acquisition remains the other way of solving this problem. And we are probably too expensive now. So it makes sense to partner, which makes it very interesting because now, you can actually have a very interesting conversation where the whole enterprise kind of software and architecture can get a new enterprise object called the contract, which was missing from the enterprise architecture. And it is not just in one segment, it can actually go across the enterprise. That is why our mission is to be the contract intelligence platform of the world, because we think it is possible. We think there is enough, um, kind of opportunity here to say that, hey, contracts can actually bind the enterprise together and the business process together. So people have quoted 2 billion, 3 billion as the market, the CLM spend, which we are already seeing. There's a lot of spend. There's a lot of kind of unstructured spend today in terms of contract management.
Today you are at 5 billion, which makes it, I think, one of the largest in terms of valuation for a SaaS company in India. So, is there some level which you are looking where you'll be comfortable and say, okay, we have arrived?
When you get to a milestone, you find another milestone.
Hmm.
And when we got to our $5 billion of valuation, we knew it was coming. 2, 3 months ago, 4 months ago, we knew, hey, if we do raise a round or we do a secondary or whatever, we are going to be in that ballpark. Our growth numbers were very good. So we said, what next? And our next actually was 10 billion. I was thinking about, hey, what next after that? And what is interesting is if what I'm saying and what I'm dreaming is really, really true, and if obviously the world has to accept it and the analysts and the customers all have to accept it, then we are not talking about 5 or $10 billion Icertis. We are talking about a 50 to $100 billion Icertis. Maybe that would be a very interesting way of thinking about this. One is, of course, cost of money is better. That's what usually people say, right? Your cost of money is cheaper than going to private equity. And finally, which is probably the most important, providing liquidity for Icertians as well as for our investors. So I think we will wait for the right moment to actually go public. It could be this year, next year. We will wait for the right moment where we think that, yeah, this is the right thing for the company long term. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure talking to you too.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.